Hey, what's up, One Mic Night artists? It's Marcos Luis here. Thank you for joining me on One Mic Night. Today we got a great episode. We're talking about photography. But before we do that, if it's your first time here, please make sure you like the episode down below and subscribe. Click the bell because we're dropping episodes and we don't want you to miss anything. You can watch us on Facebook Live or YouTube or watch it on Spotify as well. Also, there are ways to support the podcast, which are in the episode notes. So please, if you can, support me. I am here to document independent artists' lives and open conversation about things that inspire you. So I could use some help. Today, we're talking about photography. I know a lot of you guys are photographers out there. Today's cameras are incredible on our phones. So a lot of people like to take video and photographs. But photographs are more than just capturing a moment in time. It's a powerful, powerful medium of storytelling and artistic expression. So with a single click, you can freeze an emotion, a historic event, some landscape, or anything along those lines. It's an important art tool, and it allows us to see the world through the photographer's eyes. That's exactly what my guest coming up does. Her name is Lolita Beckwith. She does lifestyle street photography and is a sports photographer as well as many other things. But we're going to see that today, and we're going to talk to her and learn what we think the future of photography will be. So sit back, get ready. I'm Marcos Luis. This is One Mic Night. We're here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam! OneMicNite.com. So I think she's set up now. Keita P, you ready? Keita P's in the house. Everyone, and welcome to One Mic Night, the podcast that brings you stories of artists and people on their journey, helping to guide, answer questions, and motivate you in life and the business. And you already know who I am. It's Marcos Luis, and I'm back. We're in season 5. We're coming up on the end, so thank you guys all for sticking around, and thank you for 18 years of One Mic Night with the live series, the podcast, and the One Mic Night talk. Our One Mic Night Talk co-host, Dr. Shane Marteau, will be back. So we'll be back on the mental health kick. We want to help you have good mental hygiene and help inspire you along in your life. So he's coming back soon. Today, my guest is incredible. I'm really happy and excited to have her here. She is a professional photographer. She does sports, concerts, travel, lifestyle. She does it all. So please welcome Lolita Beckwith to One Mic Night. How you doing?
I am good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here. I appreciate it. Listen, I have questions.
I got in.
The first question is, who is Lolita Beckwith?
I am first a God's child. That's the most important thing in my life. God plays a very heavy role in how I lead my life, how I live my life. how I present myself. I'm also a child of I'm my mother's daughter. We're very close. She has had a huge impact on my life. A child of Brooklyn, born and raised in Brooklyn, still.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Woo.
BK
I'm
all
very,
day.
anyone who knows me knows I'm very like Brooklyn strong, very proud of Brooklyn. And I love this borough so much.
Mm.
I lived on the Lower East Side for a good chunk of my life as well. So that has a very big place in my heart. But I'm a Brooklyn girl all the way. So I grew up in very diverse middle class neighborhood as a kid in Brooklyn, and very good childhood, very good childhood, and did all the right things. Went to high school, went to college, got a marketing degree. I work in advertising now. Um, Discovered photography at age 12,
Hmm.
and it obviously has had a huge impact on my life literally since the day I discovered this is what I like doing.
How
So,
did you discover photography?
well, I was given a Polaroid. My mom gave me a Polaroid camera as a kid.
Hmm.
I'm dating myself here. Uh, and I just loved it. But in particular, one thing that happened, it was a school trip, I believe, to the Statue of Liberty.
Hmm.
And coming home from the Statue of Liberty, actually, maybe it wasn't a class trip. Anyway, doesn't matter. Um, I took a photo of the Statue of Liberty from the boat with the sunset in the background. And when I looked at it, and I still have the photo, decades later, I still have the Polaroid because it had a huge impact because I knew I liked this.
Hmm.
It's good. I knew instinctively, this is a good photo. I liked this. It just, that spark went off. And I knew this is something I want to do. And ever since then, I have always carried a camera of some sort with me, whether it was a one of those disposable cameras or just a cheap little something, or eventually as I got older, I still have it, a Ricoh camera. I don't even know if Ricoh still makes cameras anymore, but
What's a Ricoh camera? That's the brand of
that's the
camera?
brand name,
Okay.
Ricoh. I don't think they're around anymore, but I got that as a teenager and just, this was film, the whole thing. And I would always have a camera, so I was always just taking photos, just capturing things. Um, I didn't start taking it seriously until about 14 years ago. And I was influenced by a coworker. His name was Carlos Luna. He was self-taught as a photographer,
Hmm.
and he would just share photos with me. He would just want to show me his photos. And I was so impressed. And I'm like, you know what? I want to do this, but take it to the next level. And that's what I did. So I started taking classes at a wonderful school called Photo Manhattan near Union Square.
Hmm.
And that was it. Just took basic photography lessons. But at the same, about a year later, Instagram came along and I got into Instagram super early, not knowing it was going to become what it is.
Hmm.
But it gave me a place to share my photography. And
Mm.
it gave me a place to, it gave me momentum, it gave me motivation to, as I walk around, I'm a street photographer at heart.
Hmm.
So I would just walk around and just look for things interesting that maybe other people aren't noticing and take a shot of it. And then I would have Instagram to share it to. And it just grew from there, really. Um, there was a whole Instagram New York City community. I became part of that. And we all just kind of pushed each other and shared photos. And I was super happy. It wasn't even about making money. That was not on my mind. It was just the love of being creative. And this was my jam,
That was it.
basically.
That's interesting because yeah, when Instagram came out, nobody actually knew what to do with it. So
Right.
people were doing photography. People were like, there were a
Right.
lot of photography blogs and just photos and whatever.
Yeah.
Now, with Instagram, it's
Totally different.
everything, but it's
Wildly different.
business. So your
Yeah.
photography can be your business on Instagram too.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
very
yeah, that's
much.
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
Polaroid, let's talk about Polaroid for a second. I know Polaroid. I'm a man of a certain age.
So am I.
I know Polaroid. Polaroids are the jam too because you would have
Yeah.
your instant picture. You could see
Mhm.
what you shot.
Hmm.
and like you said, you could preserve those moments. Now we take photos and images and we don't have them in hand. Did you go through a process where you were going through film development? Did you ever develop film and like were you the 35 millimeter in that whole
I
situation?
never developed like, you mean like a darkroom
Hmm.
situation? That I've never done. I was always the one bringing it to Pathmark when I was a teenager, bring it to their photo development. This is I was a teenager, and have them develop it. And always just did that. If I was, oh my God, I remember a vacation I took to Las Vegas, and I came back because Las Vegas is, I can take pictures literally all day, all night. It's just so much going on. And I remember just coming back with tons of film and getting them all developed, and it was just nuts. So I never did darkroom, but I was very thankful when digital came along because
Mhm.
I like to take a lot of photos.
Right.
And so just being able to just go through them immediately and weed out the bad ones, keep the good ones, edit the good ones, etc. It's just makes life so much easier. I
Yeah,
love it.
digital photography was epic. It when that
Yes.
came along, that was
Game
definitely
changer.
epic because I did a little of the dark room photography. And it's always interesting to, be in the dark room and you leave it in just a little bit longer and you make it dark and that creates a
Mhm.
shadow. And so
Mhm.
you're a little bit more hands-on approach as to how you do it in a manual way.
Right.
But with the digital photography, yeah, you could go through and just do it and you delete, 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 and then
Yep.
those are the ones you think. So it was epic when the digital photography came along.
Yeah, epic is a really, really good word. It just really changed everything. And then using Lightroom or Photoshop, or I'm a fan of Lightroom and also an app called Snapseed, which I highly recommend
Hmm.
for editing photos just straight on your phone, or Lightroom straight on your phone, and just like get that up on Instagram and keep it moving. I just love, it's a whole new world, and it's just for me, just perfect. It's easier, quicker, everything is just more convenient, period.
I love it. Let's talk about some of the things you do. You travel a bit with your photography,
I do, yeah.
a little
Uh,
bit.
yeah. I love to travel.
Mhm.
Uh, and I'm kind of annoying to travel with because I have a camera. And I'm always, again, I'm always looking for the shot, looking like what's something that no one else is going to capture.
Mhm.
And of course, you go places, Paris, wherever you capture Eiffel Tower, you capture, all the big sites, etc. But I like to capture, you know, just something a little bit different. Maybe it's just an older woman selling something and the expression on her face or something
Yes.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So yeah,
because photographers are storytellers. And with
exactly.
each photograph and each image, how do you determine, what's going to make? You're looking around, how do you determine that?
It's hard to describe. It's really what is no one else seeing? Like we go through our lives, our daily lives, just doing, running our errands, doing our to-do list, going to work, taking care of the kids, all these things.
Hmm.
You miss a lot.
Yeah.
And so especially in New York City, because there's so much going on,
So much.
so much going on. I look for the little things.
Hmm.
I look for, I don't know, a little kid running up the stairs from, like you go to the beach, there's the beach, and there's a little stairs that take you to the boardwalk. I'm talking about
Hmm.
Coney Island.
Yep.
Just the expression of a little girl running up those stairs.
Mm.
It's of just capturing that, seeing it and capturing that makes just it makes my soul so happy. That's why I love doing photography. It just makes my soul very happy. Just capturing that moment that maybe no one else is seeing,
Hmm.
and then being able to kind of share that with the world,
Right.
or it's on Instagram or visit my
I
website.
love that because what happens is that, as a photographer, you're responsible for capturing the moment, but also providing a story because what's the possibility or what's the story surrounding that moment,
Hmm.
making people think about like where's this kid coming from,
Right,
right? Or
right,
where's he going? Or what's the
right.
bigger picture of the
Yeah,
whole image? Let's take
yeah.
a look at some of the photographs that you've done. Let's take a look now.
Yeah.
So
And it's
that's
also it's also it's about emotion.
mm,
Love capturing either the subject of the photo is emotional, or
mhm,
I want you, the viewer, to feel an emotion. It's
mhm.
really more important thing is I want the viewer to feel an emotion, to be like, oh, or to kind of just, if I can, you scroll Instagram, if I can make you just stop
Right,
and it's like, oh, this is interesting. Let me see what's going on here. Let me read the all the little things. I've done my job.
right.
I want you to just like, linger and kind of think about that and see it. And um, it doesn't have to be a little kid. It can be just the way I have a photo where not Statue of Liberty, the Empire State Building is kind of like crowned by branches, just kind of the perspective of it. It's
Hmm.
kind of had the tree branches kind of covering it. And like that's again, you're gonna just normally walk by something like that. But
Right.
photographer, I'm looking for something like that.
Hmm.
And when I see it and I capture it, it brings me so much joy. And then and because of social media, I get to share it the same day, next day, etc.
In
So
real time. Yeah, that's interesting because we've seen the Statue of Liberty, we've seen the Empire State Building, but what is different? What's making this shot
that's the
different?
hard,
Yeah,
that's the hard part.
yeah. It
Yeah,
could be the perspective, like you said, it could be something in front of it that reminds you of something else. It could be, there's so many possibilities, but what is it that makes this shot different from the ones we see? Everybody can take a picture of the sunset on the
right,
beach.
right.
What is the thing that makes this image
Different.
different? Yeah.
And that's the hard part. Especially living in New York because there's so many iconic places in New York. But it's like
Right.
I don't want to just post um a photo of the Statue of Liberty. Like I have to make it different. It has to be like, like I said, like a silhouette, like a sunset, like a silhouette, I'm a sucker for silhouettes with
Hmm.
photography. Um, like a silhouette of the Statue of Liberty with the sunset, something like that, something like a
Yeah.
little bit like you know what it is, you know the
Right.
shape, you know what that is, but it's a little bit different. And so that's what I go for. Just I'm always looking for what's different than what everybody else is doing.
Now you did some sports photography at the Barclays Center. How was that for you?
Literally a dream come true.
Really? Tell.
I'm a sports fanatic.
Me
Like
too.
literally, like right now, I'm in heaven with WNBA because
WNBA. Yep.
I finished. I was in heaven for 2 weeks with the Olympics. WNBA season, football, NFL just started. So I'm in cloud nine. So I'm a sports ever since I was a little girl, sports junkie. Oh, and the US Open also.
Yep.
So my dream was to be a sports photographer, and in particular to shoot the New York Liberty. We won't even get into the level of fandom I am of the New York Liberty.
Everybody loves a
And
Liberty.
since day one in
Yep.
'97, I've been a
Hmm.
super fan. And I would go to the games at the Garden, and I would look at I would watch the photographer sitting under the basket, and this was like maybe late 1990s, early 2000s kind of thing. And I'm like, I want to be that. Like, I want to be that. And I didn't know, how I was going to go about it or whatever. I just knew that was what I wanted to do. And then it happened in 2012. A gentleman, I hope he sees this. His name is Pete Tenney, and he saw my work on Instagram, I guess on Instagram and Twitter, reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you like to join our team? We're covering the Nets." It was the year the Nets were moving from New Jersey to Brooklyn. It was also the year Barclays opened. So we were
Mm.
part of all of that. We were there for the opening of Barclays. We were there for the Nets' first game at Barclays, the whole nine. And so I was able to shoot a lot of NBA, boxing, uh, the Liberty. The Liberty was still at the Garden. Actually, they were also in New Jersey for a while. The Garden was being renovated. So I actually got to live my dream of being under the basket shooting my favorite team.
Wow. Wow.
That was just so
What
I
do you
lived.
think? What do you think? I'm sorry, just to go back a little bit. What do you think it was that caught his eye to ask you that? Did you have photos of images of the players on your page or?
No, he said, I still remember this. He said, "I love how you capture Brooklyn."
Mm.
He was just seeing my street photography
Okay.
and wanted me for his team. And I'm like, okay. It was a little odd because he never made his presence known prior to that. He never liked any of my photos,
I
never
love this. I
commented on
love it. I love it.
anything. So for future photographers out there, just you never know who's watching you.
There you
You
go.
never know who's watching you. Because I don't know if they were saying it back then, but he slid into my DMs and was
Hmm.
like, I love, hi, I'm Pete, blah, blah, blah. I do this. I love how you capture Brooklyn. I'd like you on my team. Do you want to meet? So we met. We met like I literally remember this was on a Wednesday. That Saturday I was shooting roller derby for him.
Wow.
At the time I was a big fan of roller derby, Gotham Girls roller derby. And so I got to shoot them and they were competing in Brooklyn, I think at LIU or something like that. And from then on, it was 4 years of covering sports and covering concerts, events. It was just a very wonderful, magical, crazy, stressful ride because I was also doing my full-time job as well. So it
Trying to
was,
do them both is, yeah.
it
Which,
was, it was, it was a lot, but it was the best. It was the best time of my life, really was.
that's what I was going to say. Like looking back on what you've accomplished in that time period, how do you feel?
Oh, I'm so proud of
Because,
you know, I often hear celebrities say they wish they were more in the moment
hmm.
at like, the height of their fame. And I made sure to, which I always thought was odd, but then, but when I was shooting, particularly at Barclays, I was shooting all these NBA players that I'm a fan of.
Hmm.
Um, I always make sure to realize this is a blessing. Like you're literally on the court, feet away from LeBron James,
Hmm.
who's my favorite, well, one of my two favorite athletes. I just always realized it was a blessing and that I'm doing this. I'm literally living my dream. So
That's gotta change your whole mindset of what you're doing at the time because like you said, a lot of us in the midst of what we're doing, we don't take them, we're not present. We're not present
right,
enough. You're a little bit present because you got to get the job done and you want to
right,
do it well, but we're not
right,
actually absorbing what the moment is and
right.
being like, wow.
I'm doing
And
this.
yeah, I'm doing this. And it changes your whole perspective on
It does.
life and your accomplishments.
Yeah. And it's
That's
also just
beautiful.
very it's just exciting. It was such an exciting period of my life to be covering all of these different sports and concerts, Mark Anthony and Dave Matthews Band. And when you cover a concert, you are at literally at the stage.
Hmm. Hmm.
You're in front of the first row of the audience.
Beautiful.
And you're just like, oh my God, I'm doing this, you
Beautiful.
know? And the thing about concert photography, a little fun fact about concert photography, you're only there for the first three songs, if that. Some artists only
Really?
one song, and then you are ushered, like there's a person that takes all the photography, she brings you all in,
Hmm.
and he will bring you all out. After the three songs, you are literally ushered out of the building.
So they give you front row access for a couple of songs and then you
Yep.
got to go. You
You
got
gotta
to
go.
you can go to another part of the arena.
No,
I
no, you
guess
gotta go.
you got to go. You're
You
out.
gotta go
Oh,
out. Yeah.
wow.
Plus, I have a deadline, so I literally kind of have to go home, and kind of weed through the photos, figure out which are the best ones, edit them, upload them to the site, label them, then
Hmm.
upload them. So there's work to do after. So it's super exciting in the moment, but then there's a
Hmm.
lot of work to do at the back end.
So something like a concert like Mark Anthony or Justin Bieber, I think you shot too.
Yes. Yeah.
About how many photos are you shooting in
A
three songs?
lot.
It's got to be a lot.
It's a lot and it's
Hmm.
hard because lighting is everything in photography. And you don't know what the lighting is going to be.
Hmm.
So you constantly have to kind of think, change your settings. And sometimes one thing I did, I was with a more veteran photographer. We were standing together,
Hmm.
and he actually for Dave Matthews, because Dave Matthews Band, their fans are like super fans. Like their fans go to every concert, they camp out, like they're like hardcore fans. So we were talking to the people in the front row, like, so where's the lighting going to be? Where should we stand? Blah, 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 blah. And we
Right.
got really good tips because they knew. So it's exciting, but you are working during
I
those
bet.
songs. And I
That's a
don't know
short
how
time
many,
period.
how many photos like a lot. Because I'm constantly shooting
Hmm.
and constantly changing my settings. And I might see a photo. I mean, I might look at a photo and be like, oh, let me get this better, reshoot it, change my settings and then reshoot it, etc. It's all quick thinking. And but it was fun. It's sometimes it's you have to wait it, you know how musicians are, sometimes you have to wait
Right.
in for a photo to
Hurry up
come
and wait.
on. Yeah, right, exactly. Um, one time I did, it was Boys to Men, 98 Degrees, and New Kids on the Block. And again, three
Mm,
songs. So Boys to Men, three songs, and we all were ushered back, not backstage, but like to this little tunnel area,
hmm.
and then wait for them to finish their whole concert. Come back, three songs for 98 Degrees. Ushered out, ushered
Wow.
out, standing. I think some of us were watching basketball playoffs on our phones or something. I forget now. And then New Kids comes on back in three songs, and then we went home. So they're very serious about the three songs.
I guess they do that for the psychological reasons too, for the people performing. You don't want photographers in your face the whole time you're
Right.
performing, so it kind of
Right.
interrupts the connection with the audience. So I guess that's why they do that
Yeah.
too, right? Yeah.
And that's a good point. And
Hmm.
also, if you know what you're doing, you really only need three songs. I don't need to be there for the whole 2 hour
Right.
concert. You know, I realized it's because I thought at first like that's really odd, but then eventually it's like, yeah, I got what I need. Like I'm good. Coldplay was great because I feel like they knew. I mean, of course they knew, but like they catered to the photographers because they brought out the first, second, or third song, whatever. They brought out these giant beach balls.
Mm,
Like they had like a runway, and we were along the runway, and like they knew what they were doing. There was confetti. They knew what they were doing during those three songs. So I feel like they really
they
knew how
got it.
to like cater to the photographers, which is very interesting.
That's good. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
set it up,
it's
and
fun.
because you're not shooting audio, so everything you need
So
is in that first
yeah,
those
it's
first three
all visual.
songs. It's
It's
all
all
visual.
visual. Yeah,
I
all
like
visual.
that.
Yeah.
What do you have exhibitions of your work somewhere? Like,
I
what have you done?
have had some.
Hmm.
Had three. I feel like I've had three. Um, all in 2019. No, four. One was about a good decade ago. It was Occupy Wall Street,
Hmm.
and that was a lot of fun. That was so much fun. It was a very unique situation with Occupy Wall Street, and a bunch of us Instagram photographers. This is back when Instagram was still kind of new,
Hmm.
and a bunch of us, we would go like not daily, but we would go a few times to kind of just capture what was going on. And so there was an exhibit. And so that was the first exhibit that I was in. I had one photo, and I was also on a panel discussion about it. And then 2019 was in three exhibits. One called Metanoia, which was at the Lesbian and Gay Center in Manhattan. And it was a huge exhibition about women prisoners back in the 90s fighting for healthcare. It was during the AIDS crisis.
Hmm.
AIDS had really struck these prisons hard, and so these women prisoners were fighting hard to get proper healthcare. People were dying. It was just, people they were being ignored, and so they had to fight to get what they needed. So my job was to photograph current AIDS activists, all women, and so those portraits were in there. And then someone saw that portrait and wanted the portraits. I mean, somebody saw that exhibition, saw my portraits, and wanted those portraits for their exhibition, which was called Stonewall 50. And
Mm.
that Clifford Chance law offices, they're one of the 10 biggest law offices in the world. And so there were a number of artists invited to be part of that. And that was great. And then another exhibit was called Art Piece, Peace.
Hmm.
And one amazing photographer friend of mine, Brianna, she curated that, and she wanted Black photographers. And it was also about mental health in the Black community. So we not only showed photos that we felt reflected my photos. I chose the most like peaceful photos that I felt that I had.
Hmm.
Um, And we talked about, it was not only a photography exhibition, but it was a forum, basically. It was a full house. It's a forum to discuss mental health in the Black community. So those are the four that I've been a part of. I also have a website, lolitalens.com,
Which has
and
some
my
beautiful
Instagram is,
images on it. Beautiful.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. And my Instagram is at Lolita Lens Photography.com. Not dot com, at Lolita Lens Photography is my Instagram. So you can go
Okay.
to either of those to see my photos, my work.
I love that. Make sure you all go there and check out the work. Some beautiful images there. What do you have coming up in the future?
Well, I'm glad you asked. My photos will be exhibited at Cheryl's Global Soul Restaurant, where we met.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the coming months, I don't have a date yet. When I do, I'll let you know. Maybe you can put it in the caption.
Absolutely.
Um, that's coming up soon, and I'm really just getting back into photography. I actually left it for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just now coming back. Literally, that's 2 weeks ago. It just kind of came back to it.
What's the re-inspiration?
I miss the joy it brought me.
I love
I
it.
I kind of lost my motivation
Mm-hmm.
back in 2020. I'd lost my motivation, which is weird for me because photography had been such a huge part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so about mid 2020, I realized I'm like, I'm not feeling it the way I had been. And that was a kind of a bit of a struggle because it was such a part of my life. And like, why do I not feel excited the way I used to? Um, so I just did other things. It actually opened up room for me to do other things,
Mm-hmm.
because photography can be a very time consuming um, passion. So, but this year, particularly the past few months, I'm like, I miss that. I miss the joy it brings to my soul,
Right.
you know. So my favorite place to shoot is Coney Island.
Mm.
I took my camera, I had to it was funny because I'm like, how do I how do I change the settings? Like I had to really
Gotta
relearn my camera,
reacquaint yourself with the whole
reacquaint
process.
myself
Yeah.
with my camera. I done some work. I shot some stuff on my phone like last year, but it was just kind of one-offs. But this was just let me go out with the intention to shoot
Mm-hmm.
and just take a couple hours and go shoot. And I had a blast. It really did reignite. Coney Island is such a wild, crazy place in
It's
this town.
crazy.
It's so crazy, and I
For
love
those of you who don't live in New York City and don't go
oh,
to Brooklyn, that never been to Coney Island, that is a very interesting place, let me tell you, in so many ways.
exactly.
Many
And
ways.
you don't even need to go on the rides. I never
Nope,
go on
you
rides.
don't have to.
You don't have to. I go for the atmosphere. I go for the vibes.
Hmm.
It's diverse. It's just always, and everybody's happy.
Yep,
Everybody's happy. Everybody's in
everybody's happy there.
good. But this is a good example of why I love to shoot there. So I was on the pier. There's a pier at Coney Island that I love to go on, just take a walk on. So I'm coming back. I'm on the boardwalk. And I see this giant snake on the
Get out of
boardwalk.
here.
A python. Like I later found out he's over 100 pounds.
Mm-mm.
What's like this is so and I'm like, this is so Coney Island. And it was this woman, her name is Tamara. She's like draped in all these snakes. And she's like, there's like a mini fire truck kind of FDNY kind of truck, and she's showing them and they're holding it. And now a whole crowd is gathered. And it's like these folks that just have these snakes. And like if you want to pose with them, they ask for a donation.
Right. It's
Um,
it's more like a carnival out there than than like a
human carnival.
boardwalk. But yeah,
It's a human
human
carnival
carnival.
out there
I
in a
gotta
good way.
say, I have a love-hate relationship with Coney Island because my first New York credit as an actor was on Coney Island. We shot a public service announcement called Keep It Clean, and shout out to Senna for using me. So I got my first New York credit at the dirty Coney Island, where we were talking about keeping the environment clean.
This must have been a while back.
It was,
'Cause I remember those days too.
right?
No change now.
But now it's a little, it's cleaner, it's better.
It's way
So,
cleaner
I'm
now.
not gonna I'm not gonna talk bad about Coney Island, but that was
Yeah.
back in back in the day.
Yeah, I remember those old days
Remember
too.
those days?
Those are bad periods there. But they've really cleaned it up. I've been shooting there since 2008, shooting regularly there. seen so many, so many changes. But that the whole snake thing, the woman we chatted a bit, and I took some shots of her, and she calls herself the mother of snakes.
Mother of snakes. Okay.
And it was just great. I'm like, this is why I love photography. Not only is it just great capturing moments and the joy that that brings me, you
Hmm.
meet interesting people, like really
Exactly.
interesting
Yeah.
people. Um,
And so
it's
you have the photos and you've got the little story caption that goes underneath. You have the
exactly,
history of the whole story under
exactly.
there. I love that.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
think about having an exhibit of your own? Like putting up in your own work?
I would
You
love
got
that.
so many beautiful images.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I would love that. That's something I probably should.
Hmm.
Um, what I've often thought about is self-printing a book of my photography. That's
Beautiful.
what I kind of, not kind of, that I've given a lot of thought to that I want to do. Um, but a self-exhibit would be a good idea. I actually never thought of that. I like,
Absolutely. Let's get into it. I mean, because you are a business, we have to think of ourselves as business. We're entrepreneurs. So you as a
yeah,
photographer are a business. So we have to incorporate ourselves. We, look for grants. We have to do those. That's what we do. We're empowering each other to do those things.
right, right,
So
right.
it's time, yeah. Time for you
Yeah,
to do that. Put up your own
yeah,
work. Cut out the
yeah.
middleman and do it.
Yep. The woman I told you about earlier, Brianna, that's what she did.
Hmm.
She had, she just found a place in Brooklyn, a small gallery. I wish I could remember the name of it. And we were all part of a collective of Black photographers, and she
Hmm.
asked some to be part of it. And like she was in charge of it, and she put it together just by herself. Just she's like at the time was like in her mid-20s, like she's
Right.
young. And dude,
Hmm.
I was so impressed by her. I was like, she's doing it.
And I'm quite sure you can do the same thing.
Yeah, I
You
could.
curate your own work.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly, exactly.
Who better to do it than you?
Right.
Who better to speak on your behalf than you?
And I
Come
want
on
people.
now, don't get me started.
I want people to see my photos.
That's right.
I'm very proud of them. A lot has gone into them. So a
Hmm.
lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of joy, a lot of love. So yeah, I want as big an audience as possible. You're right.
Right. And I think that's a great idea. Culminate your photos in a book.
Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
us something to look at. And
Yeah.
it's all your work and moving on to the next level.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the next. That's the exciting thing about I feel like I'm starting all over again.
Hmm.
And it's a good feeling. And I don't know when I first started shooting, when I first started taking classes and taking it seriously, it was just because I enjoyed doing it.
Right.
I had no idea
Absolutely.
what laid ahead, that other than
Hmm.
sports and concerts and travel assignments
And
and
that's what I was asking you. When you look back on all that, like you think, wow. I mean, even though you're in the moment, it's still like, wow, I did that.
I did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an amazing
Exactly. You
feeling.
said it. You said it right. I did that. That's
Did that.
exactly what happened. I
That's
did
me.
that.
This is the life I've led. This is the life I wanted.
Hmm.
And that wasn't the plan. Like that wasn't the plan from the beginning. Like I said, I just was doing it for fun.
Right.
But then as you start getting hired, people starting to notice your work. It's like, oh, okay, this is,
And here we
we're
go. Let's go down another little avenue. So look at the legacy you're also leaving behind because you've documented these sports events, these concerts. You said you had some exhibits in the for the Stonewall. Look at the impact that photography has had on people's lives, mental health. You know what I mean? Like that's a tool that we can use, to help others. So
yeah.
it's there's also a social, you know, uh, factor going on.
And in addition, talking about mental health, for me, very meditative. When I'm shooting for me, and it's
Mm.
not a paid gig, it's
Hmm.
shooting for me. I'm just shooting because it brings me joy.
Right,
I just get into a place. And this happened when I shot 2 weeks ago. Like I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what I remember, how I remember feeling.
right.
Um, it not only brings me joy, but it just really resets me in a way. It's just like because it takes me out of my world.
Hmm.
Because I'm
Yeah,
sort of looking for things to shoot that I'm not thinking about my problems. I'm not thinking about the world's problems. I'm not
right.
thinking about the upcoming election. Like I'm just like in my zone.
Right.
And
And
when you're
that's the art
telling
therapy people talk about, doing art as therapy.
that
And
part,
it puts you in the balanced, equilibrium of your mind.
yeah,
And we need that.
absolutely.
And then, like I said, the
Absolutely.
benefit that comes from it is that the legacy that you're leaving behind, because you're shooting these beautiful images that impact people in a way where, it brings them joy, it brings them happiness, it brings them peace, it brings awareness, so we're using these as tools to help others
Yeah.
and
I
question
really
things.
hope to have that's the kind of impact I hope people have.
Right.
That I want people to have when they see my photos. I want an impact of some sense. If it's calming, if it makes them think, if it makes them take action in sort of way, if they feel validated or
Right.
anything. Um, I want my photos to have always have an impact, and I don't share it if I don't feel like it's not going to have an impact in some way.
Right.
So
I love it.
I love it. I love it.
Well, Lolita, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Let everybody know again how they can get in touch with you because we need them to
Lolita
see the images.
Lens, LolitaLens.com is obviously my website. At Lolita Lens Photography is my Instagram. And those are the main two ways. You can reach me by email at lolitalens.com is my email address. And that's it. Those are the main ways to reach me.
There you go. Thank you for spending some time here with us. I appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Time is the most valuable thing we have. So thank you for spending yours with us.
Yes, I totally
Everybody, please make sure you go to lolitalens.com. Check out the images. Also, you can email her, slide on into the DM. She gave you permission for hire.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that. Good intentions only, please.
There you go. She's for hire for photography. So please make sure you reach out to her.
That's a whole other podcast.
A whole nother podcast episode. She'll be back to talk about that later. My name is Marcos Luis. Slide on into my DM for anything. MarcosLuis. You can also find the show at OneMicNite, OneMicNite. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching these episodes on Facebook, please make sure you give us some stars. This podcast costs money and time, and I gotta pay for it. So you can support us by that. Also, check the notes. You'll find all her information. You'll find other ways to support the podcast. 18 years of OneMicNite, an independent artist. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.